Is it just me, or is healthy eating beginning to feel more like branding than nourishment? 1 minute, white rice is the enemy. No nutrition, all carbs, avoid at all costs. Next minute, actually, basmati is low GI, especially if it's cold and reheated. MSG was definitely bad. Now it's umami forward and scientifically misunderstood. And ghee? That was considered artery-clogging nonsense. And then it became a superfat, but only if you bought the $50 version in a glass jar from Erewhon. At this point, I don't know whether to cook dinner or send my pantry to therapy. Because I grew up in a kitchen where things didn't come with nutrition labels, they came with stories. Where rice wasn't a villain, it was dinner. Where fermented pickles were not gut experiments. They were just what you ate with paratha. All people cared about is that you ate well, you were full, and you were nourished. And that tasted like home. But somewhere along the way, these foods, our foods, got put on trial, and the verdict keeps changing. Hi, I'm Marina, and if you're new here, welcome. This channel dives into South Asian identity, migration, history, art, and the stories we inherit, including the ones that show up on our plates. So, if you're into critical takes, cultural nuance, and an occasional rant, you're in the right place. And in this video, we're delving into how clean eating trends, often wrapped in good intentions, are rewriting traditional food practices, especially from South Asian and Asian cultures. Let's get into it. Also, I just wanted to note that I am still recovering. You can probably still hear it in my voice. I did put a post up a few days ago that this video is taking longer because I have been so unwell. Thank you for all your messages. I really appreciate that. I am on the mend now, but you can probably still hear it a little bit in my voice. So please bear with me, and hopefully I will be back on track soon. At its core, clean eating is a dietary philosophy that champions whole, minimally processed foods and avoids additives like preservatives, artificial coloring, and flavor enhancers. Think MSG, seed oils, white rice, and refined flours. But recently, I feel it's become more than that. It's a movement powered by Instagram influencers, Pinterest perfect plates, and wellness gurus selling glow and gut health in mason jars. And while some of this comes with good intentions, the ripple effect of this is anything but simple. For millions of us, traditional food did not come with nutrition labels. They came with heritage, cultural wisdom, and long-standing traditional food practices. A mother's biryani, a grandmother's pickles, a festival thali rich in ghee and history. Now let's be clear, paying attention to what we eat can be empowering. Caring about health isn't the problem. Food literacy, access to fresh ingredients, and conscious eating can be transformative. The issue is that when trends around food, often from a very narrow Western lens, tend to redefine what is clean, what is good, and what is acceptable, while quietly sidelining entire culinary traditions. Clean eating trends often reward minimalism, fewer ingredients, less oil, and clean flavors. But many traditional foods actually thrive on the opposite: complexity, layers of taste, time-intensive preparation, and yes, fat, salt, and fermentation. So when dishes get cleaned up, like ghee swapped for olive oil, rice swapped for cauliflower, fermented pickles quietly removed for their salt content, it's not just a recipe tweak, it's a rewrite. These substitutes may come with good intentions, sure, but they also risk flattening food cultures that have carried their own forms of nourishment and balance. And it's not just about taste, it's about the cultural distance that opens up when your traditional food is rebranded as bad. I ran a small poll on social media recently asking people if their traditional foods ever made them feel guilty, and more than half of them said yes, or at least sometimes. And also, let's be honest, a turmeric latte can be praised for its anti-inflammatory magic today, but growing up, haldi doodh wasn't something we boasted about. This disconnect isn't accidental. This is cultural reframing. And it raises a deeper question. Whose food gets to be clean? When health narratives prioritize ingredients, or aesthetics from certain cultures. Other foodways are quietly marked as too much or too heavy or too unhealthy, even when these traditions have sustained communities over generations. And this is backed by research. An Australian study comparing 86 clean eating blog recipes to 86 supposedly non-clean recipes found clean claims did not necessarily mean fewer calories, sugar, or sodium. Meanwhile, a 2025 study presented by the American Society of Nutrition found that the main fatty acid in seed oils is linked to lower markers of inflammation and better metabolic health, directly countering claims that seed oils are toxic. And there are also many people that are calling for more sustainable eating practices than focusing solely on clean eating. This video by Jeff Nippert breaks down why you shouldn't only be focusing on clean eating, and I'll link it in the description below. Now, all this doesn't mean that we can't tweak recipes or make informed choices. I am not a nutritionist, and so that's not what I'm saying. And to be honest, even amongst experts, the advice keeps shifting all the time. And trying to figure out what's actually healthy can be a full-time job, especially when every scroll brings a new rule. And that's exactly why we need to slow down before judging certain foods, or entire food groups as needing to be fixed. Because often these critiques are not just about health, they're about branding and marketing. So I'm not here to tell you what to eat. I'm just inviting you to notice the judgments we make or absorb about food, especially when those judgments are wrapped in trends that erase more than they nourish. And this isn't just theoretical for me, I've done it too. I've raised an eyebrow at how much ghee my mum cooks with, or how much salt is in my nani's dal. At one point, I stopped consuming seed oils that I grew up with, and cut out certain traditional foods like rice entirely because I thought they were unhealthy. And in doing that, I didn't just lose those ingredients, I lost connection to food that brought me joy, made me feel at home, and cooking that felt familiar. And inside many homes, these trends can create quiet generational divides. Elders who cook traditional recipes can often be seen as out of touch. Younger folks raised in the era of green juices, almond flour, and guilt-free eating start to question or even reject the food wisdom that has been passed down to them. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. There is nothing wrong with caring about what you eat. But when health becomes a binary, clean versus dirty, pure versus impure, healthy versus unhealthy, it opens the door to judgment, misinformation, and even moral superiority. So, where do we go from here? I think we start moving beyond food fads and towards food respect. We push for health messaging that doesn't stigmatize cultures. We uplift food stories that come from our aunties, elders, and oral traditions. We reclaim our spice, our salt, our oils, not just because they're tasty, but because they're ours. Clean eating isn't inherently bad, but it shouldn't come at the cost of erasing centuries of wisdom or making someone feel bad about their lunch. If this video made you rethink your plate, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see this. Tell me in the comments, what traditional ingredients or dish have you seen unfairly demonized or rebranded? Until next time, eat with pride and stay spicy. Take care.